Such a beautiful start to this video where I will explain how this floor selector works with all the usual detail, the basics of the floor call relays, the floor selector, and thanks to me and Pete Lomas, we've worked out how the logic works with nice and simple animations. It's everything you come to expect from a Mr. Matt and Mr. Chay video, but I may lose the carousel music, probably a good idea. First of all, I've taken off the chain so I can rotate the floor selector. In the corner is an animation that shows all the switches synchronized with the video. Just watch it for a moment and I'll explain it in a bit. The first thing to note is the floor display indicator on the left is fictional. I've just put it there for the video so you can get an idea of where the lift is. But it has no connection to any of the circuits on the controller. In fact, there isn't a floor display indicator. There are a few missing components on this selector. Firstly, the third floor call button is shown here, but it doesn't actually exist on the floor selector. Instead, the connector has no wire. This is because the top floor call is connected directly to the up direction. As it's blatantly obvious, the lift would have to go up to reach a top floor call, unless it's there already. The same is true for ground floor, it connects to the down direction. So the top and bottom floor calls do not actually go through the floor selector at all, and instead just send the lift up or down until it reaches the switch at the top or bottom of the shaft. The next observation is there is a missing wire between switch E and switch A. So that the diagram is easier to understand, I've drawn it in, but in reality this switch is missing its connector on one side. There is no wire available for it anyway. This was done for a reason which I'll explain later. The yellow glow shows the position of the floor selector and indicates the next switch to be pushed or pulled. With the top switches applied, the bottom switch is pulled out, this lift is currently on the ground floor. 1C, 2C and 3C are calls. When a call button is pushed, voltage is applied to these wires. The voltage will end up reaching either up or down, which tells the lift which direction to go to reach the call. So this takes me momentarily to explain the call relays. A relay is an electromagnet that activates switches. Some relays have multiple switches, some only have one. These relays have two switches. The top switch terminals don't connect until the relay activates. The bottom terminals are normally connected and disconnect when the relay activates, better known as normally open, normally closed. To activate a relay, you simply power the electromagnet, which is also better known as a relay coil. These are obviously not powered by batteries, but explaining using a battery is easier to visualize, and 110 volts is a common voltage, but may not be the voltage of this lift. Connect this to a relay, the coil energizes and the switch activates. To turn off the relay, disconnect the circuit somewhere. This is where the call button comes in. Pressing the call button activates the relay. Release it, the circuit is broken and the relay turns off. This is no good as the call is lost when the relay turns off. How about connecting one of the relay switches to short circuit the call button, but only when the relay is active? Now when you press the call button, the relay switch short circuits the call button and essentially keeps it pressed after you've let go. So there we have it. This is a latching relay. To unlatch the relay requires a break in the circuit, which means we need a modification. The floor selector decides when the lift has arrived at the floor, then disconnects the circuit, unlatching the relay. Time to bring in the main motor up and down relays. When these turn on, the lift moves up or down. The floor selector decides which direction the lift must travel, which I'm coming to in a moment. The car call button relay circuit gets diverted back to either the up or down relay, before arriving back at the battery to complete the circuit. This means the relays are connected in series, one after another, which means the relay coils share the voltage. So if the supply voltage is 110 volts, then the relay coils must be half that, perhaps 50 volts. When the floor is reached, the circuit is cut and both turn off, which means the call relay is unlatched. So that is where these wires go, the car call buttons. The floor selector must now decide which direction to send the lift by passing the voltage through the main motor up-down wires. Remember that the top floor and ground call are connected directly to up-down. A ground call will always send the lift downwards. Here is the path for a third floor call. It can only reach up. Second floor, decision is up. And first floor decision is up. Now let's place a second floor call and see what happens. Contact B represents the lift coming up to the second floor. When the contact is pulled out, the circuit feeding the up wire is lost and the lift stops. If the lift were to come down to the second floor, then contact F would stop the lift. This means the stopping position can be adjusted for both up and down directions by loosening the wheel bar and moving it to pull the contact out earlier or later. Let's place a first floor call. The logic is down. As the first floor contact is pulled out, again the circuit is cut and the lift stops. Contact A and E both represent the first floor. Third floor call always sends the lift up. Now to explain the missing contact on the right hand side of contact E and the missing link from E to A. The lift will not stop at the first floor in the downward direction because the blade contact and its associated wiring have been removed. If the lift is above the first floor, without the linkage from A to E, the first floor call cannot connect to anything and it's ignored. Only when the lift is below the first floor can it go here via contact A. So why was this link purposely removed? It was probably done for security reasons, only allowing passengers to access the first floor via the reception desk. What was originally on the first floor, we may never know. There are only two things left to do. Firstly, put the chain back on and left it as I found it, in anticipation for the lift to be switched on once again, probably be waiting a long time. Secondly, to start work on the last part of this video, which is to explain the acceleration unit, which gradually shorts out the box of heavy duty resistors. I kind of explained in part 3, but I think it needs an animation, which will be another month's worth of editing. It's all good fun though, and I get enough feedback from you guys saying that you find my videos interesting, and to me, that's what it's all about, making interesting videos that you guys and girls enjoy watching. Until next time, I hope you found this lift logic circuit video interesting.